Let's play a quick game of Would You Rather. Would you rather have a Stratocaster that's played in for you, or would you rather induce that playware yourself? Well, when I got my hands on my first Custom Shop Stratocaster, I kind of picked the best of both worlds. The Fender Custom Shop didn't exist until 1987, so until that year, if you wanted wicked wear on your instrument, you were fresh out of luck. But it wasn't until we got players like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Rory Gallagher, Philip Sayce, Fender eventually realized maybe there's a market for stingy, dirty guitars with tons of wear. In time, Fender introduced the Relic grading system. New Old Stock and Closet Classic are the entry-level Relics, an all lacquer finish as if you bought this guitar new in Fender's heyday. I personally own the Journeyman Relic. This guitar has seen a couple gigs, but for the most part, it's been kept indoors and in great condition. If you want the look of an authentic, road-worn Stratocaster, may I introduce you to the Relic, the poster child of a worn-in Stratocaster. Now, the most important factor of this list is that all of these guitars are finished off with a nitrocellulose lacquer, a paint that Fender used to use back in the day that's extremely easy to wear down. So susceptible to dings, I could leave indents in the finish with my fingernails. Nowadays, Fender uses polyurethane paint, which is more like a shell than anything else. The process of relicking a guitar isn't something that happens overnight. It'll take months, maybe even years. I'm just kidding, of course. All you need is a couple miles of dirt road. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. How gorgeous is that? If I'm going to beat out a finely crafted instrument like my Custom Shop Strat, I have to think outside of the box. What better way to take a leap of faith than to build this guitar up with a pair of humbuckers? The organ donor for this build today will be my 1993 Squier Stratocaster. Later on, you'll find out how poor of a decision this was. This is like the guitar luthier equivalent to fighting the Blob. If you understood that reference, can we be friends? Yes, finally. The way you build a guitar says a lot about yourself.
I don't know why it's lopsided like that.
Like how I'm doing happy snaps after disemboweling one of my favorite guitars. After internally wounding my Squier Stratocaster, the cracks began to reveal themselves. Literally. Arguably the most important part of this build, the guitar body, was cheaply built overseas, so the American parts I was using for this build absolutely refused to fit properly. And after solving the first roadblock, oh yeah, I somehow talked myself into ruining one of the most important parts of this build. But first, a word from today's sponsor, Journey Instruments. POV, you're walking around the airport with your guitar case and it's hard not to stick out. Please, no photos. You decided against checking the instrument because, well, if you did, the guitar may never play the same again. Soon to come though will be a gladiator-style brawl with other passengers to find overhead space for your instrument. When traveling with a guitar, your best bet is to buy an extra seat for the instrument. People have done that. I know people who have done that. But the carbon fiber collapsible guitar by Journey Instruments bypasses all of this. This guitar has a one-of-a-kind mechanism that allows it to collapse into two pieces. My favorite part is the stylish and functional gig bag. It's so inconspicuous, other guitar players will have a hard time believing there's a guitar in that gig bag. Journey Instruments goes the extra mile because this guitar is made out of a high-quality carbon fiber. So when you're 30,000 feet up in an airplane, you don't have to worry about the guitar body potentially warping due to changes in temperature or pressure. You can find Journey Instruments in the description below along with their beautiful collection. Thank you, Journey Instruments, for sponsoring today's video. You really saved my butt here. If this guitar didn't have the Squier label, I wouldn't have thought twice about changing out the pickups. I got too overzealous. I said, if this guitar is going to compete with my perfectly built Fender Custom Shop, it's got to sound good, right? It can't have Squier pickups in it. The American pickups were too big to fit inside the Squier pickguard. So I tried brute forcing my way to victory, and it's hard to watch this clip, but hopefully you don't make the same mistake that I did. The vintage pickguard only suffered a minor crack in the plastic, but all in all, I think this build came out looking pretty good. specs on cheaply made Stratocasters are just slightly different from that of an actual Stratocaster. For example, I wanted to use my 1990s Squier Stratocaster neck on this build. It wouldn't fit because the screws were off by about a millimeter. The pickguard was threatening the same thing. So I took matters into my own hands, screwed a couple pilot holes, and now we're here. Especially when you install a new neck, you gotta check the action and the intonation. As you know, when you have new strings, tuning isn't great off the bat, so you have to stretch those strings. So I'm gonna fret the guitar at the first fret, and I'm just gonna stretch. Then I'm gonna check. And that's not too great. So I'll tune up and try again. And the more you do this, the more you just break in the string, and less likely it is to go out of tune on you. Sounds freaking great. I usually do a lot of bends like this. So to simulate that, I push the strings upwards, and then I check the tuning. Now, if you're intonating the guitar, this is what you gotta do. Right now, I'm gonna check the E string. So I'll pluck my open E string, get it as close as I can on my tuner, and then I'll hit the 12th fret of that string and lightly pluck it with my pick. Okay, I'm a little sharp there. To fix that, we'll go clockwise. I'll lock into one of these screws by the bridge, and I'll turn my screwdriver clockwise. Messing with the intonation screws will mess with your tuning, so you always gotta go back to pitch here. And then check again. Moral of the story, when you buy a guitar that's worth 4 or 5 figures, you're getting what you pay for, a high quality instrument that's built by the most skilled luthiers. I'd be lying to you if I said my Fender Custom Shop wasn't the most reliable guitar in my collection, and I expect to have many more good years with this instrument. But hopefully by showing you the process of how to build a homemade custom shop guitar, you'll be able to weigh your options a little bit better and break out of that echo chamber where you're always hearing that the pinnacle of good guitar playing is the Fender Custom Shop, because that's just not the case. Tone is in the hands, we all know this. Great way to end the video, controversial take.